Hi everyone, welcome to lesson 4. Okay, remembering our formula 4W's plus outcome. Our heading this time is the outcomes of the Grooteschuur Minute. There were several agreements resulting from Grooteschuur. A working group, it was said that a working group would be established to define what a political offense actually meant. What was the political offense? This was important in order to know who were actually under the term political offense, so that those could be released and be freed from persecution. Efficient lines of communication would also be opened between the two parties, ANC and NP, in order to avoid further political violence. The government also agreed to review its security legislation, and this was one of the very important steps. But what is meant by this security legislation? Why am I saying it was an important step? The government's security legislation was to blame for the violence that reigned in South Africa. What was causing violence in South Africa was this very security legislation issue, together with the armed struggle embarked on by the ANC and the other liberation groups. That is what was causing violence. For example, the white government had a certain instruction to their military guys and so on, military defense guys, etc. For example, we even had people called Dr. Death, a person that was actually supposed to be a medical doctor, but according to the security legislation of South Africa, it was known that he was working vice versa, and he was even nicknamed Dr. Death, because he was no longer healing the people, but he was using the chemicals in order to kill the black people. And a lot of other instructions that aimed to hit on the black people, while the black people also had their armed struggle. That is, they were also planning to hit on the side of the whites. So that was responsible for the violence in South Africa. So if they are now saying they are thinking of, they are agreeing to review that kind of legislation, that would actually culminate into peace. More talks about talks followed at the so-called Pretoria Minute. And when was that? This is the second meeting. Note that. All right, where was the meeting? It was in Pretoria, at the old residence of the president. And then also, when was the meeting? It was on the 6th of August, 1990. Who were in the meeting? Who were the officials in the meetings? Okay, again, the meeting was between F.W. de Klerk and his 8 senior advisors, together with Nelson Mandela and his senior advisors. This was what was called the Pretoria Minute. And what were the outcomes of the Pretoria Minute? The ANC announced, according to the Pretoria Minute, that it would suspend its armed struggle. They stated that they would suspend it immediately, and there was a temporal peace that actually reigned in South Africa. Just to make sure that everyone understands why there was temporal peace, let's revisit that. Okay, we've just said, the ANC announced that they were going to suspend their armed struggle immediately. And we had also said that the government, the white government, had promised to review their security legislation. We've just said that the security legislation, together with the armed struggle, were responsible for violence. Now, if they are promises to end this, which we say was actually responsible for causing violence, then that means there's hope for South Africa. There's peace, hopes for peace in South Africa. Both the ANC and the government continued to work towards a peaceful political settlement.